Xi Jinping wants a world-class air force, so his solution to China's lackluster military is to steal from America. Welcome to China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. Xi Jinping has wanted to modernize the People's Liberation Army for years, and stealing has been the ticket. Wow, China's J-31 sure looks a lot like America's F-35. But it's not just technology China's stealing. China's also trying to steal personnel, especially pilots, which is why a recent bulletin from several Western intelligence agencies warned that China is aggressively recruiting pilots from the US and NATO countries. The warning comes from the Five Eyes intelligence partners, the US, Canada, Great Britain, New Zealand, and Australia. It says China is working to recruit current and former Western military pilots and other service members to help strengthen Chinese air power and gain insights into Western aviation tactics. Which is shocking. I can't believe China would ever copy anything. The bulletin also mentioned that the PLA is using private companies based out of South Africa and China to hire former fighter pilots from various Western nations to train PLA Air Force and Navy aviators. Why South Africa? Well, let's just say there's an S in BRICS for a reason. The bulletin further warned Western military members and veterans to be extremely wary of job offers from CCP-linked private companies. The fact that the CCP is ramping up its recruiting efforts doesn't bode well for, well, anyone, but especially Taiwan. Now, this kind of recruiting has been going on for a while. In 2022, for example, Daniel Duggan, a former U.S. Marine, was accused of breaking American arms control laws by training Chinese fighter pilots. Duggan is a naturalized Australian citizen who renounced his U.S. citizenship while also having lived for a number of years in China. What would his, I assume, uncle, WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, think of all this? Did all those USA chants mean nothing to him? But Duggan also allegedly trained Chinese military pilots more than a decade ago at an academy in South Africa. The U.S. officials said it happened without their permission. He was arrested in Australia for charges he denies and that his lawyer calls politically motivated. A magistrate in Sydney has found that Duggan is eligible for extradition to the U.S., though, where he'll have to answer to Uncle Hacksaw, USA! But recruiting isn't the only weapon in the CCP's arsenal. It's paired with another strategy that has been in the news a lot lately: spying. In August of last year, 2 U.S. Navy service members were arrested for allegedly transmitting sensitive military information to the CCP. One of them was U.S. Navy service member Wang Hung Thomas Zhao. Zhao was ultimately sentenced to over 2 years in prison for accepting bribes from a Chinese intelligence officer who posed as a maritime economic researcher looking for places to invest. Zhao worked at U.S. Naval Base Ventura County in Southern California. Zhao violated his security clearance by sending the officer photos and blueprints of an Okinawa-based radar system used by the U.S. He also sent the officer non-public and controlled operational plans for a large-scale U.S. military exercise in the Indo-Pacific. The other U.S. sailor was Jin Chao Patrick Wei. He was arrested at Naval Base San Diego, home to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. He was indicted for conspiracy to send national defense information to an intelligence officer working for the People's Republic of China. The unsealed indictment states that Wei was stationed on an amphibious assault ship, the USS Essex. This is a ship that's crucial in defending freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific and Taiwan Strait, should, anything happen. Wei held a security clearance and was in possession of such sensitive information as the function of the ship's weapon systems, propulsion, and desalinization systems. According to the indictment, Wei began communicating with a PRC intelligence agent in February 2022 and agreed to provide manuals, blueprints, and photos of Marine training exercises and U.S. Navy ships in exchange for thousands of dollars. There are so many of these reports of China trying to spy on and steal Western advanced technology that can help them improve their military performance. And it isn't just the U.S. The MIVD, Holland's intelligence agency, reported that China is trying to steal information on semiconductors and the country's aerospace and maritime industries to advance Xi Jinping's military ambitions. Now, the Five Eyes bulletin I mentioned earlier addresses both the recruiting and the spying. by imposing commercial restrictions on a test flying academy in South Africa and Chinese organizations linked to the spying operations, and prohibiting former military members from working with China. But that's not going to stop the CCP. The CCP's military has already rapidly grown in size and capability. China's Navy is now the biggest in the world. That's why the recent focus on joint military drills between the US and other nations in the Indo-Pacific is so important. The US has been tightening its network of allies and partners in the area, from Taiwan and Vietnam to the Philippines, Japan, and South Korea. China's military, built largely on stolen tech, has never been tested in battle. Hopefully, that'll give Xi Jinping some pause before he considers launching an invasion of Taiwan. And now it's time for me to respond to a question or comment from a member of the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army, fans who support the show on patreon.com/China Uncensored. And today's comes from Bill Was. Chris, another great, albeit frustrating episode. Bill is talking about this episode about how Chinese LiDAR is winding up on US military bases. One wonders why the US couldn't use the CCP's ravenous appetite for other countries' innovation against them. Maybe set up some bogus US startup firms in tech fields the CCP loves to raid for IP, but deliberately develop fictitious progress which could be fed to the CCP. Even better, get some of those rebranded Chinese firms to partner with these fake firms and then waste their time and money. Or maybe I've been watching too many spy thrillers. Thanks again for your oh-so-important work. Wow, Bill, that's absolutely brilliant. That would be a great way to mess up China's military modernization. Just feed them garbage. I love it. Will the US actually do that? I don't know. But I did have an interesting conversation with, well, I'll just say a very well-placed person. And I think there is a real possibility that China Uncensored can help play a role in crafting US legislation on China. That's why it's always great to hear the amazing ideas from people who watch the show, especially members of the China Uncensored 50 Cent Army, like you, Bill. I really love that idea. So thank you, and thank you for your support. What did you think of Bill's idea? Leave your comments below or click on that orange button to join him on Patreon and support the show. And here's a video I want to show you. It's from my new philosophy channel, Deep Thoughts While Gaming, where I look at games and what they can teach. This one's about the remake of Paper Mario and why you should be proud to be an American, even if the country isn't perfect. Click here and let me know what you think. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.